The Korean Peninsula is not the only part of the world that's currently facing a security challenge. Experts say Europe may be closer to war than it has been in decades. Why? Because of the Ukraine-Russia crisis. Here's what's happening right now. Nearly 100,000 Russian troops are stationed along Russia's border with Ukraine. The United Kingdom has sent arms to Ukraine. Canada has sent special forces to Ukraine. The US is sending Secretary of State Antony Blinken. They've also promised support and ammunition to Ukraine. Russia has pulled out diplomats from Ukraine. All signs point towards a war. But will there be one? Russian President Vladimir Putin's plans are not clear. NATO is bracing for the worst, and the international media is trying to guess the right answer. The slow evacuation may be part propaganda, part preparation for a conflict, or part feint. This is a report. It refers to Russia pulling out diplomats from Ukraine. Reports say Moscow has begun evacuating families of staff who work at Russian diplomatic missions in Ukraine. The New York Times says at least 18 people left Ukraine on the 5th of January. Another 30 followed subsequently. Diplomats have also reportedly been told to leave. When do countries ask their diplomats to come back? In times of conflict or war? So what is Russia preparing for? Neither, says its foreign ministry. Russia insists it's business as usual at the Kyiv embassy and that Moscow is interested in maintaining good neighborly relations. But good neighbors do not line up 100,000 troops and carry out exercises at the border. Similar images were coming out of Ukraine a couple of days back. Britain says it has sent short-range anti-tank missiles to Kyiv and that it would, quote-unquote, stand up to bullies. America has made similar promises.
We will give the people of Ukraine the arms, lethal arms, they need to defend their lives and livelihoods.
That was U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal. He, along with some other American senators, held a meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv. Zelensky said that Russia was looking for excuses to increase tensions. He also met with the German foreign minister, who then flew down to Moscow to meet her Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov. Canada has deployed a small contingent of special forces to Ukraine. Their job is to push back against Russia and evacuate Canadian diplomats should the need arise. If Ukraine has the support of NATO and its allies, Russia is backed by the usual suspects. Reports say Putin will brief Chinese President Xi Jinping in person. It may not happen anytime before February. In the meanwhile, Russia and Belarus will hold joint drills to, quote-unquote, protect the interests of the Union states. So that's a lot of developments for 24 hours. So many countries involved in this. The question is, where is all of this leading to? Should we brace for a war? Experts say there may be an escalation, but not necessarily an all-out military incursion. What is most likely is a hybrid attack. In fact, a cyber attack has already been launched. Ukraine says it has been hit. Putin may not have the appetite for a full-blown war, but that doesn't mean peace for Ukraine. The West is calling for de-escalation. Europe is drafting sanctions.
So we are continue working on preparation of sanctions, just in case, although the intelligence information that we have makes us to believe the possibility of a massive attack against Ukraine is not the most probable scenario.
But is Russia even trying to attack Ukraine? Most of the US-centric media has not bothered to ask this question, and the answer to it depends on who you ask. This crisis, like most others, is one of perception. Moscow, from where it's sitting, views the West as the aggressor, and it blames Kyiv for its aggressive designs. Russia says it is not planning an attack. Instead, it's the NATO that's, quote-unquote, undermining regional security. Ukraine says it's a free country. It has every right to try to join the NATO. Russia says NATO at its doorstep poses a threat. It wants a ban on NATO expansion. and withdrawal of troops from Eastern Europe. NATO has refused. Russia also held 3 summits with the West. The standoff has not eased. Neither side wants to blink first. Russian President Putin wants to appear strong before his voters at home and his audience abroad. US President Joe Biden is desperate to secure at least one foreign policy win in a year. As for NATO, the crisis is existential. It has been struggling for relevance. Climbing down in this conflict may condemn it to irrelevance again. So the lines have been drawn. The sides are clear. It's a classic stalemate, and Ukraine is both the victim and the prize. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.